One second. Okay. For model deployment, machine learning, deep learning. So we have libraries of web frameworks in the form of Flask and Django. But the problem with this is it requires some knowledge of HTML and CSS. Okay. But you guys are more proficient in Python than HTML and CSS. Okay. So for this, some developers, they have created web frameworks, web frameworks totally based on Python. Okay. Totally based on Python. And one of the good example is Streamlit. Okay. One of the good example is Streamlit. So we have uh, Streamlit. I'll just show you how Streamlits look like. Streamlit.io. Okay. A faster way to build and share data apps. You can deploy a model. You can create your data apps. You can create something called websites. Okay. You can also build interactive dashboards. You can also build a user-friendly front end for your deployment, model deployment. Okay. And all you require is your model and this library. Okay. But this is not supported in Jupyter Notebook. You can install Streamlit. How you are going to installing Streamlit. Okay. So what is Streamlit? First of all, Streamlit is a web framework. Okay. Streamlit is a web framework. And this web framework can be used for model deployment. Model deployment and building data applications. When we are saying data applications, mostly you guys have done data analysis, data visualization. You can create your own interactive dashboards, right? Your interactive dashboards, charts, visualizations, etc. Okay. But today we are only focusing on model deployment, how we are going to deploy our model. So I think you guys are all familiar with how we are saving the model.h5 file and we are again accessing it. Okay. So previously, uh, yeah. So I think you all did this Titanic, right? You're all familiar with this Titanic, where you are predicting the survival rate, whether a person is survive or not. Okay, based on this. See, so I have my code running. You can see it's just a logistic regression model. Okay, and we have prediction allow dot predict x test. One second, what's x test? Okay, x test is a couple of numbers. Okay, in order for you to predict for a single value, we are predicting it for a यहाँ पे जो हम लोग कर रहे prediction is equals to lr dot predict of x test. We are predicting as a whole value. Okay, as you can see, x test is a data frame with these many values. Okay, for single value, how we are going to predicting a single value. Okay, why single value? Uh, you'll get to know when we are deploying our model. So for single value, we just need our lr dot predict and then an array and this value. Let's say I'm giving it first value. Okay. So based on this, you can see it has returned me an array of 0, which means a person has not survived Titanic. He has not survived Titanic. I'll just replace this by 2. There is no change in answer. Let's say 21. Okay. So this is how you are going to predict for a single value. Okay. You just pass an two-dimensional array. Okay. Not single dimensional. A two-dimensional array. How do you represent a 2D array? With the help of two square brackets. Okay. Square bracket inside a square bracket. This is just an array. 2 comma 3 comma 4. This is an array. When I'm inserting another array inside array, it is called 2D array. It can be of so many types. 2, 3, 5, let's say. Okay. So I hope you understood this, how we are predicting for a single value. And I hope you guys are familiar with this Titanic machine learning model. Okay. Just simple thing. We are reading the data and you all know what passenger class refer to, survive passenger class and all of these things. And we have something, uh, Titanic dot P class, Titanic P class, and then we did some imputations as well, right? Imputations. Okay. And after that, we also calculated the precision and the accuracy of the model. Okay, it's nearly 83%. Right, shall we proceed to model deployment? We'll see Streamlit with a further example. Okay, यहाँ तक समझ में आ गया ना आप लोगों को? And one more thing, what we need to note down is Streamlit cannot work in Jupyter Notebook. Okay, this Jupyter Notebook concept is just for practice purposes and just for uh, small cells, small codes. Okay, but when you're working real time, you'll get familiarized with something, uh, some other ID, integrated development environment, such as our VS Code. Okay, or else we have a dedicated PyCharm just for Python developers. PyCharm. Okay, and there are many other from other organizations. Okay, so we can use this Jupyter Notebook to install our library. So उसके लिए आप use कर सकते हैं. Otherwise, you can also install it from your terminal. So I have Streamlit installed. So it is showing me pip install Streamlit and requirement is satisfied. One more thing. So I don't want to train again and again and again this data. I don't want to follow on this procedure. So what I'll do is I'll just save this model. Okay. How we are going to save this model? LR dot. Do we have save? No. So then I'll import something called joblib. Okay. And then joblib dot dump. Okay, joblib dot dump lr, comma, I'll just save it Titanic dot h5. You can save it in any file format. So most commonly used are h5 or something called model, Titanic dot model. So and there is pickle as well, but h5 and models are fine. So I'm using h5, right? So now you can see there would be a small file over here. See, Titanic dot h5 right over here at the end, Titanic dot h5. Okay, so I can load that file into any of my import, any of my other working directories. Import joblib. joblib dot with just a single function load Titanic dot Titanic dot h5. Okay, I guess this is in some other directory. Downloads. Users. I'll just move this to deep learning. So from this, I can easily access this with just Titanic.h5. Okay. Now you can see our model has been loaded. So 1 second, we have to assign this model, let's say model equal to this, and then model dot predict. I can just follow this and it will predict it for me. Predict. Okay. Okay. So this is how we save our model file, and then we can access it later on, right? And then we can access it later on, and we can predict it in any working directory. So as I told you, Streamlit cannot be done. Streamlit or any other web frameworks cannot be done at this level, which is at the level of Jupyter Notebook, because we have these cells and we don't have terminal. Okay, it needs to be done in some IDs such as Visual Code or PyCharm. So I have VS Code. So I'll just show you how we are going to create in VS Code. File. Okay, let's just create a new folder. Deployment. Okay, this is my new folder deployment. So I'll open this folder from here in our VS Code. Desktop deployment. Open. Okay. So currently it has nothing. I'll just upload my model.h5, which is right, Titanic.h5 from here to here. So now we have our Titanic.h5 model. Okay. And you can see our Jupyter Notebook file extension is IPYNB. Okay. क्या है IPYNB, which stands for Integrated Python Notebook. So, but we are working with Python, right? We are working with Python. So Python extension is py. Okay. So one more thing you need to note down. When you're working with real time, you won't be using Jupyter Notebook other than your own practice purpose or writing short functions or codes. Okay. Most of the time you'll be using IDs such as VS Code, or else we have PyCharm, something called PyCharm. आप यही use करेंगे. So I create Python file with the name of let's say Titanic.py. Okay, it's my pretty convention Python file, a simple one. Okay, and also you can go click your terminal. Terminal is nothing but command prompt which you have in your Windows. So you can, यहाँ पर आप आपके पास विंडोज में यहाँ पे रहता टर्मिनल. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, you can actually access your terminal. Okay. You can actually access your Python from the terminal by just writing Python, and you can see we have our Python code. I'll just hello, print hello, print hello, and also you can assign a is equals to 10, print a. This is our conventional Python. जो आप Python देखेंगे, this is more conventional Python, but we don't use it because it is not very user friendly. Okay, so I'll just exit this. Okay, so now you can install your Streamlit from here as well. Pip install Streamlit. If you have Streamlit, if you have pip downloaded, you can also install it from here. Just clear. Okay, so now we were working on VS Code. So this VS Code terminal is similar to this one. Okay, is similar to this one, except you have your terminal right over here. Okay, done. So we'll write some code. Import Streamlit as st. Okay, why Streamlit? Because it is our web framework for model deployment, and we have Streamlit as st, and we have joblib, right? Joblib as, let's say, let's just import joblib. Okay, you just need to import these two things: joblib, joblib for loading the model, and Streamlit is for deployment. Streamlit is for model deployment. Okay. So first let's load our model equal to joblib dot load Titanic dot h5. Okay. This is how we load our model. And model dot predict, it works fine. Model dot predict, where were we? Model dot predict, and I'll just print this out. Print model dot predict. I I just need to save this, and I can run this file from here as well. Let me change this directory. CD again deployment. Okay. In order to run your Python file, we use Python and the file name. What's our file name? Titanic.py. Okay. So we have a warning, and then we have an array which is 0. Okay. The predicted value. Okay. Predicted value slash n. Let's save this, and again, see, predicted values is 0. Okay. This is how we can run our Python files from terminal as well. So I can also run it from this terminal. how to run it. I can either run from here, okay, or else I'll just print Python Titanic.py, which will give me the same value. Okay, this is just for you to get familiarized with this interface, which is VS Code interface, and your terminal. So now that we have loaded our model, we need to get started with Streamlit. Once you have installed Streamlit, you just need to press the Streamlit. You just need to type the Streamlit hello, which gets you to something like this. See, this is our Streamlit. Okay, animation demo. This is a demo which is provided with our library itself. Plotting demo. See, mapping demo and a demo on data frame as well. This is our data frame as up. Okay. So with the help of couple lines of code, we can create an interactive user interface. So see, clear. Okay. So in Streamlit, instead of needing to write any HTML code, we have some methods. Okay. You guys are familiar with classes and methods, right? Functions, methods are something similar to our function. Okay. So for header, for title, let's say, do we have something called title? Okay, title, Titanic, Titanic survival prediction, Titanic survival prediction. So if I need to run this file, there is only one way how I can run this. That is with the help of writing this command, streamlit run titanic.py. Okay, this will take me to my browser where you can see our title has been defined. Okay, for you to do this in conventional HTML or JavaScript CSS with the help of Flask and uh, Django, you would require a couple of files and some 20 to 30 lines of code. But with a single line, we are able to achieve this. Okay. And then we also have something called header. Header, let's say this is a model. Okay. If I just save this and click always run here, we can see our changes live. Okay. This is a model. So now getting to the best part, what we have. So our machine learning model, we have these values. These aren't just the normal values. These are the values of passenger class, age, siblings patch, sibling and patch, male, Q or S. Right? So for all this above, for all of this, we need to assign a variable so that we can take input from user. Okay, we can take input from user. तो अब आप समझ गए होंगे how we are going to deploy model. So basically we have our front end. Over here हम लोग क्या करेंगे यहाँ पे, I'll have a couple of files, couple of input areas where I will input passenger class or else let's say passenger class or else age and all of this in input, and I'll also assign a button called predict which will predict something for me. Okay, so for passenger class I have for P class, let's say we have something called input. Okay, we have a function called input. Passenger class in a number, right? So input number where we have to okay. One second. Input number. So we need to provide something called label. Label is nothing but what we want to display. Let's say enter passengers class. Enter passengers class, and then minimum min equal to 0. Okay. Number input. We have something called number input. See, so we have something called this number input. So this will look something like this, 1. Okay. And then, okay, we have minimum value. We have minimum value equal to, let's say 0. If I assign this 0, it will take in terms of integers. Okay. So if you need to change some formattings, you can also use in the form of columns. Let's say column 1 and column 2 equal to st dot columns of 3, I guess 3, yeah. And then call 1 right over here, column of 2, okay, sorry, not 3, 2. Okay. So this will just create 2 columns side by side, one right over here and another if we create, it will be displayed right over here. Okay. You can see our label has been displayed at enter passenger class right over here, and we have our input area. Okay. For age, I'll just create the same, call 2 dot age is number, right? Number input. Okay. I don't need to mention label again and again. I can just enter. I can just write a string enter passengers age. Okay. Same as minimum value equal to 0. Why we are putting minimum value equal to 0 is, if we don't put it, we are actually getting 0.00. Okay. So we are to round it off, we are taking a minimum value as 0, which will give us a whole integer, not a float value, a whole integer. So we have passengers age right over here in at column 2, and we have something called sibling sparse is, I think this is for true or false, I guess. Let me check. Okay, right. We have true or false. So similarly, everything is number input, number input, enter, right. Whether, whether, whether or not passenger had a sibling or spouse on board. Okay. And it is also minimum value, minimum value equal to 0. Okay. And then to make it more accurate, I'll also add maximum value. Okay, because it is true and false, we have maximum value is equals to 10. Done. And then same thing, I'll just copy it right over here, and then see column 2, whether or not passenger are sibling or spouse, parent or child, maximum minimum. Done. Okay. I hope you are understanding this. And whether or not passenger is a male equal to is a male. Okay, maximum value is 1. You cannot exceed other than 1. If I just write 10, value must be less than or equal to 1. Okay, and we have Q or S, both are also similar, equal to column 2. क्या था यहाँ पर? It's embankment, right? Port port of entry Q. Okay, so 0 or 1. And for this column 1, just copy this, and port of entry is S. Okay, so now we got our a good looking user interface to interact with. I can just interact with this however I want to. Okay, and then the next part what we have is prediction, right? So how we are going to predict? I'll add a button, button. Okay, button equal to st dot, we have button predict. Okay, predict, right? We have our good looking button right over here, st dot button, or else you can give column 1 dot button or column 2 dot button. Okay, and then if button is click, or else I can just give here on click equal to. ओके, ऑन क्लिक में हम लोग क्या करे थे? वी हैव दिस, राइट? वी हैव दिस ऑन क्लिक, यहाँ पर मॉडल डॉट प्रिडिक्ट पी पी क्लास एज सिबलिंग स्पाउस पेरेंट चाइल्ड मेल क्यू. So I think our class is about to end. So